Well, hello everyone. This is Robin Carter, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator out of Flower Mound, Texas. And today I'm here to share my second video making alternative cards with the Home for the Holidays paper pumpkin kit that was issued for October 2023. So before we get started, I have some business to share. I looked just a minute ago, and there are still refills for this kit. So the refill includes everything that the kit came with except the ink spot and the stamp set. So they're also including the bottle of shimmer glue that's included. So that would be a part of the refill as well. And so be sure and get that if that's something you're interested with. And also while you're there, there are a set of add-on cards and envelopes that are sized 5" by 7", and it is 20 cards, and the item number for it is 163985. Now these were intended for the November kit because the November kit does not make cards, but if you get this add-on, you can easily make them into cards. The November kit will kind of coordinate with the October kit. So if you're behind on the October kit, maybe you can mix all the elements together and make some fun alternatives. But also with these cards and envelopes, I don't have them to show yet. They're coming, I believe, tomorrow. So in my third video, I will share exactly what they look like. But they're double-sided. So you could cut those in half, and you would be able to make 40 cards using that same pattern that's on the card. So that's my paper pumpkin news. And then one other bit of Stampin' Up! News. So now through the end of October, they are having a starter kit special. And this is great. It's celebrating their 35th year anniversary. So you can join by doing two options. You can get 35% off of the starter kit, which includes $125 worth of product for $64.35, or you can choose to get 35% of more product in your starter kit. So you'll spend the usual $99 to join, but you get $168.75 worth of product. Excuse my voice. I'm having a hard time today, so just if I sound a little different, I do. Even I asked my daughter, I'm like, am I raspy? And she's like, yes. Anyway, this is a great special, and so if you're interested in that and have any more questions, you can always leave me a comment below. I would love for you to join my team, and in the description box below will be a link of how you could start through me, as well as a link under the paper pumpkin if you are not a subscriber, of how you can subscribe now to get the November kit and choose me as your demonstrator. So by the way, if you choose to purchase any of these products, I would really appreciate if you use the host code here for October if you do not already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And any orders of $75 or more, you will get a special gift from me as a thank you. So I'm going to get started now with my alternatives. Let me bring back in the sheet. So I decided to take the elements from this card. All right, and I'm going to make 3 cards out of that. So I also want to share these, if you're new to my channel, these are what I call my special things. And when I say my special things, those are things that Stampin' Up! Does not supply, but I find them helpful in organizing all my supplies. So those are also in the description box below with links. I am an Amazon affiliate, so those are safe links. And what that means is when you use those links to purchase these products, I get a small percentage for referring the product, but it's no additional cost to you. So if you would use those links, I would greatly appreciate it. It helps me keep these videos coming to you. So this is the 7x9. And like I said, they do store, I generally store, I take everything out of the box and store it in these. And then I have some smaller ones that I store individual products. Like this is a 5x7, so that I store the stuff in. So let's get started. Oh, before I start, let me thank those of you who have subscribed to my channel. Sorry, I usually do this at the very beginning. Thank you. I have some new subscribers recently. Thank you for those who have been with me all along. And if you're new to my channel and have yet to subscribe, or maybe you've watched a few and have yet to subscribe, please consider subscribing. I'd greatly appreciate it. And give me a shout out to what state or area you're from. I like hearing where everyone comes from. All right, so now we'll get started. So I have this base, and then I also am going to bring in the town scene. And let's start with that one. And so I'm going to set this aside and we'll do those later. I'm going to make 2 out of that one. So for this alternate, we need just a sheet of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 of white. And then a thick white card base that's scored at 4. Its finished size is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 as well. And then I'm going to need my blueberry bushel ink. I went through a couple of blues, and that seemed to be the one that matched the sky in the kit the best, in my opinion. But other blues would work as well. Now I have a laminated grid sheet that I like to use when I do blending. And then I'm going to get my blue large blending brush. And we're going to make a sky scene. So how I do this is I basically just take my blending brush directly to the ink pad. Now, if you only have spots, you can do a dab of ink onto like a laminated sheet or an old block you might have, which we're going to use these later. But I like to start off over here anyway to make a little, I may need to re-ink that. All right, and then I'm going to start just by setting it down and hope to not make a big blob. All right, and then I'm going to apply a little more pressure to build the sky. All right, and we don't have to go all the way down. It looks like I got a lot of ink, so I'm not even going to have to reapply. Okay, so there is our sky. And then I wanted to use the little bitty snowflake stamp that came in our kit and put snowflake in the sky. Let me get this corner right here. Okay. So I'm just going to randomly stamp some snowflakes, turning my stamp as I go so that they're not in the same directions, just so they're random. Got that real juicy, that one. Oops, not a full snowflake. I might fill that in with a marker. I should have used my Stampin' Pierce mat. That would have helped not get that. All right, I may just do a few more, even though it might get covered up. Some off the scene coming in. And maybe one over here. Okay, so when you make a boo-boo like that, this is a good example. I'm going to get my marker for blueberry bushel, and I think this is still the old style. I'm getting the new ones in, but I just go in with a marker and fill it in a little bit. You know, I mean, it's fine. It's a snowflake. All right, so there's a little tip on that. All right, so I'm going to set this aside and set this aside so I don't get blue everywhere. And close up my blueberry bushel. Okay, so this is our scene, and then I thought I'm going to bring in this Holmes die that was included in our kit. Now, you know what? Let me grab the embossing folder. I forgot to bring it back in. So I wanted to use this new, in the mini catalog that's current, the Snowflake Sky 3D embossing folder. So if you're interested in it, the item number is 162026. And it's brand new. It's a 3D, and it creates a snowflake scene. And I don't know if this shows, it does show. So I took it and I put this just on the edge. Okay, and I did a little snowflake. Now, I really would have liked to get it in all these different areas, but then it would have embossed the house. So I didn't want to do that, and I thought that still looked good. I also wanted to use it on my sky scene. So to save time from going over and being off camera to go emboss this sheet, I pre-made one so that we can keep going with the alternate. So again, I think this just adds nice texture and detail to the card. But if you don't have a die cut and emboss machine, it would be perfectly fine just to leave it plain like this one. All right, so you can still make this alternate. All right, so I have my card base, and I'm just going to feel, there it is, to see if one side is just a hair bigger than the other. And if there is, you want that side to be on the top. All right, and so this is going to be a landscape card, and I'm going to put this sky scene straight on the card. So I love my Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue. It's my favorite. It gives me a little bit of wiggle room to move stuff if it's crooked. I do have it in this fine tip glue bottle, which is part of my favorite things. And you know what? I know it comes with a big package of them, but that's okay because I have accidentally poked this through, or this breaks and it doesn't actually seal it. You could share some with some friends and still have plenty. All right, so make sure you have your card going the right way. I have made that mistake many a time where I'm like, whoops. So when I do that, I just cut off the front and attach it to a new one. All right, so I just tap it on the sides and use my hand to make sure it's on there square. If you have any that hangs off, which that's not big enough that I'm concerned, what I would do is take my scissors and just trim along the card base if you got it just a little bigger or one or the other. Okay, and then we're going to put this here. And so I'm going to put this with dimensional. And I'm still using up some other dimensionals before I go to the nice big sheet they gave us in this kit. So I just use ones that until I use them up, and then I get the other sheets out. Whoops. I dropped those. And I do cut these in half. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, well, you can see that. And I just want to support the whole card. And I even use these edges. All right, and let's put a little edge one over here to support that. And I'm kind of dimensional happy right now, so let's add one more there to support it. All right, so I just give them a little press just to make sure I got them on there. Now we're going to remove the backings. I have good fingernails for this. A lot of people use the Take Your Pick tool, but so long as my fingernails are in good shape, they're nice and strong. I don't paint them usually because I use my hands so much and wash them so much that it comes off. And so I guess I'm lucky I have nice strong fingernails. Okay, so now I wanted to leave room for this sentiment, so I'm going to put this towards the bottom of the card. And I'm going to try not to get my head in there, but this does go the whole length of your card. So you want to be sure to get it on there square. Okay, so let me show you the finished card. Here is the finished card right here. And so I did use the Merry Christmas, but I have a saving technique for the glitter as soon as I find it. Okay, so here is, I already pre-stamped all my labels. I'm a Merry Christmas kind of girl versus a Happy Holidays. I did all mine with Merry Christmas, and I'm going to have to make some more of these, which will be pretty easy to do. And then I need to get out one of the extra sparkly backing. Okay, so let me show you what I did to expand these. Now, I will also use these strips right here that on the insides, but I wanted to get this where it would make 4. So what I did is I set it on my grid sheet, and then just took a ruler, okay, and a pencil, and I put where it was in half. Now I could do this directly with my trimmer, but this glitter paper is pretty rough on the blades. So I just was going to cut this with some old scissors. Okay, and then do the other quarter. That out of the way. So I just thought I would show you what I did to get this. Okay, so now I'm going to have 4 pretty even strips. And then I take my old scissors, and I can just go along this strip like this. Doesn't have to be perfect. I preferred using a long one so I could do one thing. I'm going to put this in my folder to use on the next one. And put these up so I don't use them. So I keep all these little things in the smaller envelopes, and they're all nice and tidy. Okay, so for our Merry Christmas, the easiest way I've found to put these on is with tear and tape. Now, we've had tear and tape in the last couple of kits, so maybe you still have some. If not, it is available through the online store. And sorry, I do not have the item number. Just search tear and tape, or it'd be under the adhesives category. All right, and then peel it off the backing. Now, it's going to barely sit on here because I did, like I said, we are trying to conserve this glitter and have it for all these alternates. All right, so that looks pretty good. And there. So it still even looks like it has that slant when you do that. I don't know. Whoop, that one didn't stick very well. You got to press and get it even. Trying to get the even amount showing. Okay, so like you can see, it's barely on the label, and that's why you really need to use a strong adhesive for that. Okay, and then I wanted to put this on dimensionals, but since it's barely hanging on, here's a tip for you. Also put the dimensional across between the two. So on not just the label, but on the sparkly and the label, and that'll help hold it down as well. So I'm going to do some diagonally like that. Hoping that's too close. I don't like it that close. I like it to kind of be hidden. All right, so there is our Merry Christmas with the sparkling stuff. And I'm going to put it right up here. Now, I would go through and add my sparkly, the glue that they gave us. And so I did watch the video, and there's I had one made already. I'll use that on my other card. Okay. So I watched their video of how they assemble, and they just put the glitter glue along the roof line, and I can't remember if they did the window sills, but I did as well. So I will do that later because that has to dry on there, or if you don't prefer that, it could be plain. Oh, in camera, plain, just like that. Did I show the glitter? I should have been looking to see if I was on camera. So there is my first alternative card. And let me get put it in here so I don't get ink all over it. Like I said, I'll go back and add the glue later. So now we're to our next 2 alternatives to get 3. Here's one of my little tree die cuts. So for these you will need 2 card bases. That's the actual card. Here, I'll go ahead and give you a preview because I have lots of stuff. I've made 2 already. I'm redoing my video because I thought the sound was off, but now I know it was just me. It's just my voice today. All right, so you need the card base from the kit. All right, and then you need a trimmer. All right, so you're gonna cut this in half at 4 1/4, and if your blade is sharp, you should be fine going straight in the fold, especially if you haven't folded it yet. If you're afraid it's going to fray, you can go off a little bit and you'll be okay. But save this. So for like our previous card, you could use this to make like a sky background, or you could use it for embossing on these cards we're going to make. Okay, so then we have our 5 1/2 card front, and I'm going to cut that in half at 2.75. Okay, so this is going to be how we make the 2 cards. I think I'm done with the trimmer. And I really hope I put my embossed pieces in there. Here they are. Okay, I have it all. So I have my card base, and I can feel this needs to be the front. This is our extra piece, so I'm just going to stick it in the envelope. And another card base. That one's going to be the front. And then I have 2 layers of same size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 of the emboss with the Snowfall Sky 3D embossing folder. So just something that it may be obvious, but you want to be aware of which direction you're going. So these are going to be portrait cards. So you want to emboss it like this. For this other card that we did the sky, you'll emboss it like that. So just be aware of that. I tend to like the more of the snow down at the bottom because like it's falling and collecting down here. So that's what I'm doing with that. So let's glue both of these onto the cards. Again, I'm using the Tombow multi-purpose glue. And you can wiggle. And if your cards end up a little different size, it's not going to be that obvious, so I wouldn't worry about it. If it's bigger, you can easily open it up and trim along the side. If it's just a hair smaller, I don't think someone's going to say this isn't a full size front. So right, so again, I'm just putting that on there, tapping it and using my hands to keep it left and right. Sometimes I even turn it that way. Now, it does help to smooth out the glue just a little bit. Now, here's a fun thing I want to share. See how this one is very textured and this it's still textured, but not as much. I accidentally got 2 going through at the same time. And so I wasn't going to try to reline this up and send it through. I just thought I would show the difference. And so you can see that, hey, if you want to do 2 at a time, you can. Just know that one's not going to be as textured as the other one. Okay, so then we have our 2 fronts here. And so I wanted to add a little more interest to them. So for the backing, I thought Night of Navy worked the best. So since these are 2.75 by 4 1/4, because it's the whole card, I did 3 by 4 1/2. So just if you didn't cut right on the score line like I did, and yours is a little smaller, just be aware of that when you're making your layer. You may need to make it not quite as tall. So let's glue both of these on there. The little trees. So I'm trying not to use a whole bunch of additional material, just cardstock and ink. I know a lot of you don't like if I use bundles and stuff. One retired bundle that I really wanted to use was the trees for sale, and the tree lot guys were a celebration free item that sold out really quick, but I'm not going to use that because this is kind of a, well, one, it's retired, and two, they sold out of those pretty quick. All right, so there is our two fronts. Now, I did do my own trees, and if you want to see how I did these trees, I have that in my first alternative card, which is before that, and also the houses. Now, I have two colored that are behind me, and I'm hoping they're dry by the time I pull them in. But I showed how to color with the markers, and you can use blends. And I tried watercolors, but I wasn't happy with that. They just weren't, they didn't have the dense color that I wanted. So I wanted to share one more coloring technique that's a little more budget friendly, because I know the blends are like 10, I think, a pair. And so I'm going to use my blender pens. Now, blender pens, they come in a pack of 3. And this is an old box, but since it's still black and white, I'm hoping the number is still 102845. So again, you can just search blender pens if that number does not come up. And what I like to do is I dedicate a tip to some basic colors. So this one is pink and yellow, and this one is new, and this one is purple and brown, which we're going to use brown. And then red and green. And you can see red and green I use a lot. So I'm going to color that house with that. And so I'm going to take my blender pen. Now it's already pretty red. So I took my spots and just put some color on this block that's from, I think, so if you do a regular kit in the kits collection, they all come with a block. When you subscribe to Paper Pumpkin, you only get a block in your first kit, but I have done other kits out of the kit collection, so I have quite a few of these, and I save them to use as color palettes. So this is the real red, and then I had cherry cobbler because sometimes the real red was not as bright, but it would be fine if that's all you have. Now this has been sitting on there a while. I'm going to huff on it a little bit to give it some moisture. You'll probably hear that. Or if you're afraid it's still too dry, you can take your spot and dab some more ink on there. Okay, so I'm going to use cherry cobbler just so it's nice and bright. I don't know. Let's see. Next month we're getting Mossy Meadow. So, all right, I'm going to do the shutters. And again, with the blender pen, this works fine because there's not a whole lot of coloring. And if you'll notice, I did use Memento black ink. Now, they say you should use StazOn for this, but I find it's okay with my Memento so long as I stamp it and let it dry. I stamped a bunch of these, and then that way I have them to work with. So why I dedicate a color is then I don't have to sit there and scribble and waste the juice inside. And there's just a little bit of the door. Well, you know what? This doesn't matter because the bow's going to be red. And it's a little bow. So as you run out, you can just dip it in your palette there. Okay, I think that's everything there. And then we want to do green. Now, green, I did use Old Olive, but I'm going to use Mossy Meadow because Old Olive, I don't think has ever been in a Paper Pumpkin. I did a search, and at least I haven't subscribed to every kit, but I did a search and I didn't see it. So we're going to do the greenery on the house. And thank you, someone who said this is kind of a this is not a thing in Texas, but greenery on your roof, but it is in the north or maybe in England. So I'm doing it just like they kind of suggest. And then I'm going to color the wreath. And I am going fast, so it may not be perfect. I'm trying to get that. So that's a little part of the door outside the wreath. And so is that. Okay, now we need the light showing from the windows. I'm going to get my yellow. And this is Daffodil Delight that I used here. I think it was in a recent kit. And if you have any showing holes through the wreath, I just kind of dab it in there. Now for the house, I did use crumb cake. I'm looking for my palette. I can just make a new one. I don't think that's crumb cake. So let me clean this one off. It disappeared on me somewhere. Oh, that was a green color. And a paper towel. Okay, so I'm going to take my crumb cake. Now, crumb cake also has never been a paper pumpkin that I remember. Let me go ahead and do these chimneys. But you can buy uninked ink spots from the online store. They come in a set of 5, and then you can purchase the ink refills, which I recommend anyway for your spots. So you have can refill your spots, because the spots can only hold so much ink. Okay, so I take my blender pen. I'm going to rub it off a little bit so it's not too strong. Now this is where you have to be careful and not go over it too much, or your paper could start pilling. So just go over it. If you missed a spot, come back to it later when it's dry, so you don't keep making it wet and wet and wet. So most of mine I will color with my blends because I love them and I have invested in them. But I wanted to show a way you can color the houses if you just have inks. Okay, so that's pretty good for our house. Now again, I would wait till this dries before you put the liquid on, and then you want to be careful not to go straight on the green, because I did that and the ink kind of gets into the liquid sparkle glue and turns it kind of green. So I don't know, I haven't waited to see one. I started using my blends, but so you can add the glue and then do this later. So I'm going to reach behind me and get my ones I've already colored, and hopefully the sparkle glue is dry. Okay, these I did use my blends. You can see it kind of bleeds through blends. And here's one where, I don't know if it shows, the sparkle is kind of green, but anyway, it's okay. It's not that big a deal. And it looks like it kind of did that on the blends as well, so I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, so I have my trees, and I showed how I made these on my first alternative, so I'm not going to go over that again with you. You can check out that video. It's the one right before this one. So I want to put this up on dimensionals. If you've seen any of my videos, you know I love dimensionals. So again, it's one of those simple things that adds interest to your card, and dimension, and all that good stuff. By the way, I do like to know if any of you case these cards. I make alternatives all the time, and I make these videos, and I know my class participants, some do, some don't. They'll pick and choose. That's my in-person, my local paper pumpkin patch people. So, but how many of you out there who aren't local to me. Casey's. I hope I give some inspiration to some of you to expand your kit and get more cards, because this kit, as it was sent, only made 8 cards. And I can see I have a little bit of adhesive. Excuse me. And I'm gonna have to get a drink. I have this eraser remover thing that's gonna last me forever, and it's great because it helps remove any glue that's sticking out. I think it's part of my favorite things. My favorite things are also on my blog in the sidebar. Now, if you're looking at it through a mobile device, I think you have to click on menu, and then there's one how to convert your wood blocks to clean, and the other one is, I'm trying to find a new sheet of dimensionals while I blab. Here's a nice big sheet. Anyway, then you would see my favorite things. I'm going to have to cut these in half. I go this way. There's the honeycomb. They gave us a nice big sheet of dimensionals in this kit. We like that, because I'm going to use a lot in this kit. Okay, so by cutting them in half, that just uses 3 dimensionals. Okay, and then I'm going to put this in the center. Try to use my grid sheet to help. I'm going to have to get a drink here in a second. Just stop and get a drink. Oops, not upside down. And I just kind of eyeball that. So I think that looks good. Let me get a drink real quick. That's always dangerous because you don't want to choke. Okay, so these, I put the houses here, and I have some trees. So I didn't use the 3 trees that were part of as this was made, but I thought about using them here, but I really wanted something else that I had stamped and colored. So that's why I went with these trees here. So let's adhere this down. Now let me show you the finished cards. There's this one. I made a couple because, like I said, I redid the video, so I have more than one each. So this one I put closer up in the trees, and this one I put down. I'm going to decide which one. And I did the same with this one. I moved that one down and up. So just kind of what you prefer. I think I like it down. So let's get the Tombow multi-purpose glue again. Oh, well, darn, I messed up. Too late now. This one's going to be flat. So I also, sorry about that. I did the Snowfall 3D embossing folder on these. Again, just doing part of it. But this one is not going to have that. So I guess it's a good alternate. And see, I forgot that I pre-did that for this video. And I just went with the ones that I cut. So anyway, this will show you what it would look like if you don't have that embossing folder or you don't like the look of that. So like I say, there are no mistakes in card making. Only an opportunity for another alternate. I thought something was different, and it just hit me when I was gluing it on, because I was about to say, you need to use a lot of glue to get in the bumps of the snowfall, but there was none on this one. So, which of these do you like better? Do you like the little snowfall? I'll give you a close-up in a minute to compare. Try to get these. Okay, so here is no snowfall, and snowfall. But I guess it would help if I do my sentiment. So I'm going to get my Merry Christmases. Now this is from a very old paper pumpkin kit, and I think it's like 2015. But I found one earlier for those of you who have just started. This was from last year's stamp sets. Here it is. This one was from November 2016. This one here. But I found in last year's November, there was a nice Merry Christmas. And the only reason I didn't want to use the long one here is I didn't want to cover up the moon. So I did just use one of the Stitch Shapes labels. You could easily just do a punch if you don't have that kind of stuff. So let's put this on there. Tombow multi-purpose glue. When I'm putting stuff in the corner, a lot of times I like to just glue the corner here. If it hangs off a lot, I would put a dimensional on the side. I'm going to wait and see how that one does. And I'll probably add a dimensional underneath here later. All right. Does that look crooked? Oh dear. Yeah. So you too can be a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And I may have to reapply glue. If I get the dimensionals up, but I've lost the adhesive, I'll show you what I do. I just take my glue and I put some glue on the dimensional so it'll stick. And I'm going to try to push it a little left. Maybe it was just the angle I had the card at. Okay, so this one, let's get out our sparkle that I saved half of. And my junky old scissors. Okay. Then I need the tear and tape again. So I'd love your comments. And if I didn't already say, I like to hear where you're watching from. You don't have to be real specific, but it's interesting to see where everyone tunes in from. I thought this kit was going to be a really big challenge. Like, oh no, I may just have to make them like they are. But I just said, you know what? I've done this before to cards. Is just cut up the fronts. And since we have this nice house stamp, it makes it easy to make additional houses. Now, they're not quite as cute as the printed ones, but again, these are handmade. Okay, so just a hair of this is going to stick to this tear and tape. And I need to tell the top one needs to go over, so it looks like it's the angled banner. All right, and then this one, try to get equal sparkle. So the good thing, you can move it for just a second. Okay, so again, these are just barely on the label, and so I'm going to do, there's probably enough tear and tape, but I'm going to do one down the center because this one is not going on dimensionals. You could also tear and tape those on top. I may do, just so they stay. So now that you have them on there barely, you don't want them to come off on your card, so you can just put some over. You could do this and skip the first step, but I think it'd be very hard to see if you've got equal spacing without doing the other step. So lots of tear and tape. This label is going nowhere once I get it on my card. Okay. Let's put that there. Okay, so like I said, let me know which one you like better, the snowfall or flat, like that one is. So here are our alternatives. So I got these two from the card front, and then I made my own sky using the pre-colored homes. So this one is one I made. Like I said, I will go add the sparkle glue, but I don't want to hold you up and you not be able to see them. So I'll give you a little close-up. And a close-up of this one. All right, so let me know what you think about these cards. Again, if you're going to case them, let me know that. I think that's fun, that I'm not just making them for viewing pleasure. I like to inspire you to expand your kit beyond just what it's intended for, although there's absolutely nothing wrong if you're watching this and you're like, Robin, I'm still going to make mine like they are, but I like your alternatives. That's perfectly fine. That's what Paper Pumpkin was meant for. A kit that has everything you need, and then you're done. So anyway, so like I said, in my next video, I'll be making more alternatives with this kit. And my add-on cards that I've ordered, I think are supposed to be in tomorrow. So hopefully I'll be able to show those to you, what they look like for real. And until my next video, thanks for watching so much. You have a great day. Bye-bye.